like we said, now these are officially called Cat A influencers and Cat B influencers, right? Your Cat A influencers or your celebrity influencers, and your Cat B are your niche influencers, local influencers, and powerful influencers. Now, the reason that these guys are put into Cat A and Cat B are just two reasons. One is the number of following they have, and the second is the money that they take, right? Now, if you go to a Miss Malini, she will take a 3 lakh rupees for one post. So, all of those guys eventually come into Cat A because they're so expensive, right? So if you're going to Hrithik Roshan, he takes a 20 lakh, 25 lakh per post. And people pay that, right? Brands pay that. So all of those guys come into Cat A. Cat B, people usually take, between a 5,000 to a 50,000 rupees for a post. Now, that's how we divide it. So like I was just telling that the things we have to look at this is this, right? How many followers do they have? Total number of followers. So imagine they have 1 lakh followers. Figure out whether they're a specialist in any field or a generalist, right? If they're a generalist and they have a lot of this, they're power followers. If they're a specialist, then they come into your niche influencers. And actually, this is very important. What is the profile of their followers? So I may have 1 lakh followers, right? But who actually are my followers? Are they people who are which cities are they from, what age group are they from, what gender are they? All of these things have to be, and we have to track these things when we go to influencers. If you're going to an influencer management agency, right, then you will get all of these details. It's literally like how you have a biodata or a resume, you will get all the details about the person, saying 30% of their customers are, mothers, or 40% of their, of their followers are people who are between 24 to 34. You will get that kind of breakup when you go to an influencer management agency. Now, the reason this is important is this. Imagine I'm trying to sell Fruity, right? Now, if I sell Fruity to influencers whose audience is 45 plus, it is very difficult for me, right? Because a lot of people will not drink Fruity at the age of that because there's a lot of sugar in it. So if I go to an influencer, even if they are cheap and even if they have a lot of followers, but if their audience is not fitting into my product targeting, then it doesn't make sense. Now the engagement rate, like I was saying, take the last 10 posts of the influencers, see what's the engagement rate, right? Average engagement rate, and see which are the type or categories of posts which have the highest engagement rate. And as a brand, ask the influencer to weave their content around that category. So if you are selling, nachos, right? And if you see that the person, does very well on healthy salads, ask the influencer to make a salad of, salads and nachos together, right? Like a nacho salad, saying that this is a quick, healthy way, something like that. So make the person, use the person's strength when you're getting them to make the post. Now, like we were saying, when we are, I think it's not here actually. 1 second. How to be, it's in how to be a social media influencer. Sorry, you'll have to wait a little. So in setting up an influencer strategy, like I said, first you find the influencer, and this is easy, right? Because you go to any influencer agency and they'll give you an entire list. You set a budget saying, I can pay 25 lakh, 20 lakh, whatever for these influencers. Now, what happens is every influencer takes a different amount of money. Some will take, 50,000, some will take 35,000, 20,000. If you give your budget to the management agency, they will say that this influencer ko hum log 50,000 dete, let's give this influencer, 10,000. They will do a mix and match and give you a list of influencers who will fit into the budget. Then you decide your objective. Are you launching a product? Are you promoting a product? Do you just want engagement? Do you want people to come to your link and buy the product? Basis that, you decide the objective and inform the influencer, right? Then you're creating an influencer management strategy. And in this influencer management strategy, you will set that this influencer will be given content on this date. Influencer will come back with revised content of what they will put up on this date. All of this, right? Who will put up the post? What link will be put up by? We have to create customized coupon codes for the influencer. All of that gets decided in the influencer management agency. Then you have to decide what content to be written. Now, recently I saw a brand which made literally hundreds of people use the same line and promote. Every influencer, if you went, was putting up the exact same line, right? All of those get a lot of trolls because people are like, why can't you even edit the content and put up? So tell the influencer, I want you to either write exactly this, or I want you to modify it in your own way, right? Communicate that to the influencer, and it happens both ways. A lot of brands, they are very particular that the influencer shouldn't write anything. So the brand gives them the exact post of what should be put. The last thing is you have to measure the campaign metrics, right? Have a list at the end. You will have an Excel sheet, all influencers. how many followers they had, what time did they, or what date did they put up the post, and how many people reacted, right? And for each person, you will have this person has 70,000 followers and 7,000 people reacted, 10% engagement rate, right? So that's how your campaign metrics get decided. Now, there are a lot of challenges which happen with influencer campaign. It is very difficult to manage. The moment the content goes out from you to the influencer, you don't know what to put up, right? All of you must have read about the Greta Thunberg thing, wherein that the entire sheet only got shared by mistake, right? All of these things happen very frequently. A lot of times, and I have been a part of these things also. The influencer will copy paste your entire line. It will say, this is what has to be put up, or put up this post. And there's a line, right? They will copy it from put up this post and the entire line, and they'll copy paste it and put it up. And this is very, very common because influencers, they do everything in a hurry, and, they put up and they copy paste it. They don't check after they put it. A lot of, and because they have so many followers, they get a lot of engagement. And then after that, someone will go and tell the brand or tell the person that, yeah, you've put this wrong, right? So all of those things happen, and it's very, very difficult. However, the biggest challenge that we face with influencers is we don't know how many of their followers are fake, right? If you see, Twitter, Instagram, all of these guys have tools where you can go and see how many of the, followers are bought and how many are true. Now, it's still a little lesser because all of these platforms like your Insta and all, they do a regular cleanup of bots, but it is still something where you can pay for followers and buy, right? You will, if you go to these platforms, it will say, follow me and I'll follow you back, right? So there are a lot of these followers who are not real customers. What also happens is because influencers content is organic and not paid, and platforms, like a Facebook and Twitter and Instagram will always promote paid products. A lot of times influencers put a post, but it doesn't come on top, right? Because your brand ad or your brand post will come up. So the influencers post reach and engagement has gone down in the recent years. Now there are a lot of other things, but one of the most important thing which I have seen is, like I was saying, if an influencer is associated with a brand, right? And if they're promoting a particular product, if they get embroiled in a controversy, then the entire blame goes on the brand because it says that the brand has done something. For example, and this is not an influencer campaign, but when Saurav Ganguly had the heart attack, he was promoting a Saffola oil, if I'm not wrong, which was for heart, right? And a lot of people went back and said because he had that oil, that is why he got a heart attack. So, and it was getting trolled continuously for 2 days. Everyone was tagging the brand and, saying that because of your brand and because Saurav has your oil, right? And that's why he got a heart attack. So all of those things are very common in influencers. One of the most important things we have to do then is to distribute our risk, right? Have multiple influencers. It's not like a celebrity campaign anyway, right? Where you have to have only one. So have a list of a minimum of 5 influencers. So you're distributing the cost. So even if one influencer, screws up, you still have 4 influencers who have your back. Now there are, like I was saying, pros and cons of this. Cons is the influencer makes mistake. Celebrities become too big, right? So if it's a Saif Ali Khan and Kareena Kapoor, you may see what they're promoting, but in the end you're looking at their post, right? You're looking, so if Kareena Kapoor is wearing a watch, right? You are looking at Kareena Kapoor more than you're looking at the watch. You will see that she wears this watch, but the focus is more on the celebrity. So the moment you have celebrities because it's not focusing on the product, right? And that's one of the other differences. That when it's an advertisement, it ends with the photo of the watch. It shows you some features. All of that happens if it's an ad, right? Like a celebrity ad. However, if it's just an influencer campaign, then it is just a part of what they are, right? Or what they're doing. So the watch is just on the side. So the focus is more on the celebrity than the watch. You're looking at what she's wearing or where she is more than the watch. So that also happens a lot. The other thing is, like I said, because they usually go for diversification and having multiple, different types of celebrities or influencers. What happens is these guys are promoting many more products, right? The guy is promoting something today and promoting something tomorrow. So because of that, people aren't able to associate this person with a brand. They don't even remember. So, it's a little difficult for us to control that because you can't tell an influencer not to take other brands. So that's something we live with. Obviously the pros are also huge because the brand instantly gets recognized. If you see Kendall Jenner using a Daniel Wellington watch, in the end, in your head, it stays, right, that she uses this brand. So there are pros also, which is why we do it.